For a long time, the narrative of the work of civil society playing out in the media has been that of foreign-funded institutions led by local activists. So many phrases have been coined, especially by government-controlled media, to describe civil society organizations. Regime change agents, front-runners for the West, foreign-sponsored puppets, to mention but a few. But is this the true story of civil society organizations working in the broad development sector? Does development aid really tie the work to foreign interests? And how does society view civil society organizations?
Project riri rakaunza budiriro mukati menzvimbo ino. Environment yedu yakatokwirawo.
Interestingly, despite government accusing international NGOs of pushing a regime change agenda,
we don't want interference. We don't want to hear of regime change at all.
It actually receives a lot of development from those institutions. With 97% of government's budget going towards the payment of civil servant salaries alone, other critical social services are actually being funded by international NGOs. We then went around the country to hear the other side and to learn more about the work of various civil society organizations working for the development of the country in their own unique ways.
Civil society works as a bridge between government and the people. Basically, the role of civil society is to offer technical support to the work that is being done by government. How they do this, they ensure that government subscribe to provisions of the constitution, provisions of the rule of law, and their mandate, which is to ensure that citizens generally enjoy a good quality life.
I think civil society plays a key role, really, one aimed at the communities and another one targeting government as part of a nation. I think with the communities, we realize that civil society plays a key role in terms of raising awareness on various issues. They can include issues of rights, socio-economic, civil and political rights. They can include issues around citizen responsibilities and obligations as well. And they can also include even issues around providing practical needs, that the communities will be having. But I think mainly looking at the government side, I think it also plays that important role of providing the checks of balances to see if the government is really working within the framework of its policies, of its laws, and treating its citizens accordingly.
Government is elected by the people, and their mandate is to do that which they've been elected to do, which is to ensure that people have a good life, good standards of living. On the other hand, civil society, as I've said already, their role is to ensure that there is accountability. So you see a complementary role there. But what often happens, and has been in my experience, is that civic society sometimes can be viewed as being antagonistic maybe to policy programs of government, which it shouldn't be. What they're actually doing is to serve as an entity that strengthens issues around government accountability. So the role should be complementary.
Oh, we work in very politically volatile communities. We're in Mashonaland and Central Province, and for me, the work has not been easy. It really requires us to always be innovative and really, be up to date in terms of what best ways can we use to make sure that we continue to do the work. I think one of our key strategies that has enabled us to really work and continue to do that work so far has been working with existing structures of leadership in the communities. Talk of traditional leadership structures. We have these local councillors who work in these communities. We also work with them, and also other organic groups of young women and girls that are recognized in those communities.
Our focus is on issues around promotion of human rights, and government should have an interest in ensuring that human rights are protected. What we can offer them is technical support, for example, in the development of laws that protect human rights. We've done this before. We made submissions in some laws that have come before Parliament, such as the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act and many other laws. Where the problem sometimes comes is when we make these contributions, sometimes they are not taken on board. And also the relationship is then seen as one that is antagonistic. But in reality, the scope is there. What we do is to strengthen their own institutions that are created by the Constitution, and also from their perspective, they need us as a partner that helps them to achieve the goals that they've set themselves to do.
So I think for us, one of the reasons why we work with existing leadership structures in those communities is also to have those structures to relay correct information together with us, so that people understand what the mandate of civil society is, and also how our work also contributes towards communities and national development at large. If we look at some of the laws that we have, primarily if we look at our constitution, I think it really guarantees, a very conducive environment for government and civil society to coexist. But I think unless and until those laws or those provisions are upheld, we'll continue to face situations where it's not easy for civil society to do its work. So I think it's really about civil society and government as well finding innovative ways around how we can as well, try to coexist, acknowledge our differences, but still understand that we are all working towards a common goal around the national development of Zimbabwe and its citizens.
As Cato Sisterhood, we also tend to focus on issues that are regarded as taboo. I'm sure, just the mention of the word sex. We are working with sexual rights, and our communities may not be as open to some of the issues that young men face. That we've championed. So initially, there will be resistance. People will sometimes, if you don't take time to really engage communities effectively, or during the early days, you may be faced with assumptions that you're promoting immorality.
It is our firm belief that organized civil society is a necessary pillar for the development of our communities and the nation at large. Its role, however, can be enhanced by forming a good working relationship with the government, in giving a greater voice and therefore better service to the communities in which the people live. It is a reality today that development in our communities is not just funded through local resources, but through outside funding as well, including foreign funding. The challenge remains, whether funding is local or foreign, to have the interest being locally driven and therefore driving local development.